Okay, go there, pick it, put it in the same place your pandas file is, so you can have access to it. I believe the data set I sent to the group. Yes, the new ones I sent to the group now yesterday. Think I sent 3 of them. There should be data there. We want to pick data. The one called dirty data. Okay, the one called dirty data. Pick the one called dirty data. Pick it, and then that's what we're going to use. So I will specify the name. So for you to write exactly what I have, you need to put. Don't open it. Just move it from where you downloaded it to where this file is. Okay, your file. You know where you're saving your file, right? So if you don't know where you're saving your file, probably when you open here, you normally go to desktop or go to documents, right? So go to that place, look for that folder name, and look for what you call this file. In my own, I called To Pandas. So whatever your file is called here, okay, look for where you have the.
It's the file that you people created this.
That's the one I created. So I called it into. You can call it anything, basically. Okay, create a new file, call it anything. Otherwise, let's be practicing some other things. So once you're able to get it, we continue from where we started. Okay, so this is practically loading our data. Okay, at times, like his own, you may not be able to get it in one try. You may have to practically go and copy the link. Okay, the direct part. Okay, copy part. Okay, not downloadable link, but copy part. Have shareable link, but copy part. Then we'll put the part. We get what we want. Now, what we have is a pandas data frame that we can work with. So the next thing we're going to start doing is to start exploring this data set. Okay, we've been able to load data. Now, what are the things we are expected to do? At least let's try to understand our data set. Okay, let's try to understand our data set. So when it comes to data analysis, there are steps that we take into consideration. Okay, so then the first step is to load the data. Okay, the second step is to explore and clean the data. Okay, so we're now going to start looking at understanding our data sets. Okay, so we start by saying df.info. Suppose that's the info. Okay, now the df.info is responsible for showing us information about our what? About our data set, our data frame to be precise. Now, whenever I do .info, it returns a clear record about the data. First, it tells me the class, the object I'm working with. So this is pandas core.frame.data frame, right? Then it tells me range index 32 entries. So I'm expected to have 32 entries. Okay, that is the total from 0 to what? 31. Next, it tells me data columns. Total 5 columns. So how many columns have data? Total of them are what? 5 columns that we have that have data.
So the DF is data for the data.
DF is just a variable name. It can be anything. So what here is representing data frame. So whatever we call the DF is where we load our data into or read our data into. Okay. So that is that. Then looking at this, we can see that we have duration. Okay, that is our first column, and it has 32 non-null values. Duration, 32 non-null values. Then we have D type, which is basically what? Data type. Okay, the D type is data type. Then we have integer what? 64, which is integer. Then we have date. Date has 31 non-null values. Okay, 31 non-null values, and its object. All right. We have pos, 32 non-null values, and its integer. We have max pos, 32 non-null values, and its integer. We have cowrest, 30 non-null values, and is a floating value. Now, to you, this might not make sense, but I believe to some of us, this is telling us that there is something wrong with our data set. Okay? This is telling us a lot about our data set. At first, it tells us that we are expected to have 32 entries. Now, the date is saying it has 31 non-null values. Question: what is null value? Okay? So question is, what is null value? You know that non-null means not null. Okay? So non-null means not null. So the question is now, what is null value? Okay? So null values are places that will have empty or no value at all. Okay? The place is empty or no value. Okay? That is none. So non-empty places are 32. Non-empty places are 31. So meaning you have one empty place. Okay? So if you have 31 non-null values, meaning you have one null value. Alright? So pos 32, max pos 32, cowrest 30. So meaning you have two null values in cowrest. Okay? Again, these are things that you get the hang of gradually. Alright, so I'm not explaining this if you fully understand what I'm saying, but let me go gradually. .info. Okay? The work of this is to describe or tell us in depth about our what? Data. Okay? About our data. Now, when we run this particular function or method, it returns the kind of object you're working with. Okay? It tells us how many records we are to expect, from where to where the record starts and ends. Tells us how many columns we have, then gives us the column names with number of non-null values, that is, number that has values in them, and tells us the data type we are working with. Now, as the data scientist or the data personnel, you are the one to know the right things that are expected of you. Okay? So, what do I mean by that? Duration is integer. When you hear duration, what comes to mind? Sort of time. How long? So, integer is sort of correct. It can be integer. Okay? It can also be time. But in this case, you can work with integer. Integer is correct. Okay? And we may say minutes or hours, not really care. My point is the single it's a number value. Okay, integer value. Then date. Date, what comes to your mind? Calendar date, 2021, August 1st, kind of date, right? So now but I'm seeing objects. Okay, so something to note, strings are objects in Pandas. Okay? Whenever you see objects, they are referring you to strings. Just know it. If you see objects, think of them as strings. Okay? So objects are our strings. So why is our date not a string? So something is wrong. Like you say, we loaded in what a dirty data set. So we are things are not supposed to be clean. Okay? So that is that. So that is one. So something is wrong here, the wrong data type, and also missing what? One value. Okay? One value. We move over to pos. Pos is the right format. Pos probably heartbeats. So it's still going to be a number. Okay? Max pos is something as the maximum value of pos. Probably pos has minimum range, max pos, probably the same value. Then calories are like part bonds, probably exercise kind of thing. So it's supposed to be a number, but we are missing two values. So I was able to get all of this from what? Running one command. Okay? Running one command. So that is the idea. Now that I've known this, what can I do? Okay? Now that I've known this, what can I do? Okay? For first, I can decide to, well, continue my analysis. Okay, ignore what has happened, continue what I'm doing to describe my data. All right, and still come back later on to do more things with it. Now, the dot describe, okay, tells us statistically how our data is behaving. This gives us an overview of what the data looks like, but here it tells us statistically what our data looks like. This is like a summary of all you can think of. Okay, what is the mean? What is the standard deviation? What is the count? What is the maximum value? What is the minimum value? I can find all of that by doing what dot describe alone. Okay, so from this, without changing anything here, okay, with all the null values, with all the incorrect data type, okay, I proceeded to just check what to get the mean, standard deviation, the minimum points. Sorry, the first mean is like average. This one is the minimum value. Okay, then the 25th percentile. All right, the 50th percentile, which is like our median. Okay, 75th percentile.
I sure the describe explain that way. Is that what I'm getting?
What is wrong with displaying?
I'm getting methods, frame to describe method.
Parentheses. Okay. So this is what it should look like. So with this, I'm able to even do analysis without even doing much already. Okay, I've done a summary of my data set already. I have the mean of the duration. So if I'm to answer what is the mean duration of this exercise or whatever, I'm already seeing 68.43. I can already make do with that. So what is the mean average pulse of everybody's this thing? 103.5. What is the maximum average points? Okay, that is average pulse. That is 128. So I can do all these things and see all these things by just running one command, and that is the beauty of pandas. Okay, but this is still okay. This is just the basic stuff. I'm not doing anything crazy here. Okay, just getting the maximum, getting this, getting that, getting the power. So we'll still proceed, but with this alone, all right, you have an insight into what that looks like. You know, the minimum value for duration is 30, and the maximum value for duration is what? 450. Now, if you have a specific range of values that should be in duration, this kind of tells you if 30 is below that number, that means 30 shouldn't be there at all. Something is also wrong. Okay? But if you don't have like a range of values, it's all left to you and the data to figure out. Now you can now establish that the minimum value for what you have is 30, and the maximum value is what? 450. Okay? All of them deduced from this. Okay, so that is that. So you've seen two commands. You've seen info, okay, and we've seen describe. So the next one I'm going to look at is shape, and then we start trying to fix our null values and proceed further. Okay, so df.shape, then unlike the other ones that have brackets, the shape does not require a bracket. The shape doesn't require a bracket. All the shape requires you to do is to what? Write with the shape. Now the shape will just return two things to us. It returns the rows and the columns. Number of rows, number of columns. That is what the shape will return. Now all these things as of now will not make sense to me because what the heck is all this? Okay? But when you start reading models, you understand that these shapes are important. Because the shapes will determine the kind of data you feed into your machine learning algorithms. Okay, so if you have a data that is shaped as 5 columns, okay, and you are passing a data that is 4 columns, it will give you what? An error, basically. So it's important for you to know that know the shape of the data. Then the rows are not really important because you might pass in 200 rows, you might pass in 1,000 rows. Doesn't mean anything as long as the columns matters. Yeah. Okay, so that is that with this. Now the next one we're going to start looking at is observing and cleaning our data. Let's look at our data and clean it. So we know that let me write it out, data cleaning. Data cleaning. Okay. And then run it as markdown. So what we just did now was to inspect our data. That's what we just did. Look through our data, inspect it, and see what we have. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is to clean our rows. Okay. So hashtag correcting data type. Okay, so how do we correct data type? We have df square bracket date, I presume, right? Okay, so this is giving us the date column, and we are seeing that this date column is looking like a string. Df date. Okay, it's looking like a string. So it's basically telling that this is a string value and it's not supposed to look like that. Then we have a null date value and we have a date value that looks like this. Okay, so we have two challenges: one, an incorrect date format; two, an empty date value. Okay, so we have to handle these two things together: incorrect date format and an empty what? Date value. So for me to do that, I have to first of all dot drop any in place, or let us drop any, and then equate this thing to df square brackets date. Okay, so that is the first thing to do. I should even drop any on all of them first. Sorry, okay, let me do dot drop any, all of them in place, so we'll get rid of the So one thing you should know, that data analysis is not a straight approach, it's a cycle. You start from collecting data to cleaning data to pre-processing to transformation to the actual analysis, then to the prediction and actual operation. Any of these places you can go back if you find out that you're making mistakes somewhere. So what this command is doing is all those null values, okay, we are dropping them, we are removing them, okay, since there are just very few of them, just about 3 null values, so we are removing them. So our column should not be like 29 or thereabouts. Okay, so the command to do that is drop NA. Okay, That is the command to do that. Drop NA removes this in place equals to true is that I'm reassigning the new values back to the same DF. Okay, I'm reassigning the new values back to the same DF. That is what this in place equals to true is all about. Okay. So now I can do dot info again or dot is null. Okay, so dot is null is will return true if there is a null value. And since I'm seeing everything is false, okay, dot is null will return true if there is a null value, but I'm seeing that
What
everything
is any?
no. Okay, I can say null like this actually. Okay, and it still works. But NA is like short form, sort of typing out now, and it still works as well.
So there is no null value.
Because of this thing, I dropped nay. This drop nay is like dropping null values. Okay, so I no longer have null values. I no longer have empty values. If I did info, okay, it would it will show me that nothing is missing any longer, but I still have incorrect data type. Okay, so it now says 29 entries, 0 to what? 31. Okay, so nothing is missing again. So that is that. So our interest is now in fixing the date. So I can now go ahead to do is equals to pd dot to date time. Okay, then df square bracket date. Suppose what else am I missing? Then I'll pass format. What date format am I interested in using? And I'm interested in using the mixed format. So I don't really know whether it's month, day, year or day, month, year. I don't really know, but I'm using all of them. Okay, so that is that. Then I can now check if everything is correct. Okay, dot d type. All right. Now this is telling me M8NS, which is basically a date time format. Okay, so I can actually do something like df dot info again to see everything clearly split out. So instead of seeing object here, which was object before, I'm now seeing what date time 64 ns nanoseconds. Okay, so that's what the format is now reading. So I've been able to convert this from this object format, okay, into a date time format, and also removed the null values, okay, at the same time. So I can now proceed with doing any other analysis that I want to perform with this particular data set. So I'm bringing up this website, very, very important website. Okay, so this is more like theory about data analysis. We've done a little bit of practical. Okay, but this one is something very, very important that you should know. So data analysis is not just a mere process. Okay, it's a tool that functions to make decisions. That is the main thing, informed decisions. Okay, predict trends and improve operational efficiency. Okay, so it's the backbone of strategic planning in business, government, and organizations. Okay, so but my interest is in the data analysis process, a step-by-step guide So how do we go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3? Just in case you find yourself being the only data scientist or data analyst in the company, what do you need to do? You have a business question, which is define the problem, define the question, the objective. What are you trying to solve? What is the analysis all about? Okay. For instance, the sparse for markets is asking questions. How do we raise or increase our customer base? So the sparse for market is asking how do we increase our customer base or whatever. Okay. So they have two products. Okay. And this product A is selling more than product B. Okay. And they want to know why. How do we increase customer base of what? Product B so that it sells as much as product A? So that is the question, that is the problem I try to solve. Now the next thing is getting the data to solve the problem. Okay. Where do I get the data from? Is it from the database or is it a questionnaire? So you can ask question, what products or problem is product B solving? Okay. Is product B just what's it called? Realization of or is it solving a particular problem? Which people is this product from exactly? Then if you go out, if you will have data for that, then you explore the data, then you prepare the data and then analyze it. So the process starts from first of all understanding the problem you are trying to solve. Then you now move to collecting the data. Then data can exist in different formats, probably PDF, Excel, CSV, questionnaire forms. You can ask different questions. Okay. Then probably surveying forms, basically. That's what I'm trying to refer to. Surveys, forms, and then get response from clients, customers, and everything. Then when you now get this response, you try to clean them, make them look good, perform like what we did now. Look at the right formats, correct the wrong formats, remove null values, or if null values are too much, try and fill them in. Some people would like to fill it in with 0, but I'm feeling like if I'm adding 0 to it, I can as well remove it. Or if I'm to add 0 to 1, and then it would affect the other one, depending on whichever methods you have. For handling null values, we have majorly what? 2 methods. Filling it in, and then removing it, which is the drop. Now, filling it in has 2 ways. You either fill with the mean, okay, or you fill with the mode. Okay, this is 1. Then some people would like to fill with 0, depending on what they want. Okay, so mean mode or 0 in some cases. Alright? So that is under cleaning. Then you move to EDA, which is the exploratory data analysis. This is where you now try to go out and understand underlying concepts, hidden things. Okay, why is products B not really moving based on the data that I have? Okay, is it that people that stay in this area don't have the money to buy it or don't really need it? Let's say product A is a raincoat. Okay, raincoat. Then this is an umbrella. Okay, so why is raincoat selling more than umbrella? Because the people that don't really value the umbrella, they have don't really have need. Don't have to put it, but basically they don't value the umbrella, so they don't buy umbrella, or they can't afford it. So these are about the 2 options. They don't value it, but they can't afford it. Okay, so you have to figure out which one it is. Then they buy more of raincoats. Why? Do they like raincoats? What's the these are the questions you just have to answer from your data. That is the analysis. Then after which you then interpret and visualize what the data is talking about, basically. Okay, you interpret and visualize what the data is talking about, basically. Okay, so this is where Python and Excel, R, SPS, SAS, All these are softwares used for this. Then when it comes to this visualization, we have Matplotlib, Seaborn, Power BI, Tableau, and Looker, and the rest of them for visualization. Then storytelling, okay, which is more or less like the last part of it. So then we have types, which I won't go in depth into, but the types talks about descriptive analysis, finding out what happened, diagnostic analysis, why it happened, okay, then predictive analysis, what will happen in future, then prescriptive analysis, how to make it happen. Okay, these are different types of analysis you can perform. The first one is the cycle, the flow, the question. You get the data, you process it or you clean it, then you process it and analyze it, then you visualize it, then you make your decision based on what you found. Then this one is determining the flow to follow. Are you looking at finding out what happened in the past or what will happen in the future or why it happened? These are the questions I will ask. So these questions will determine, when I put it this way, your problem set or objective will determine the question you are trying to answer, the type of data analysis you are doing. Are you doing a why or are you doing a what? Okay? Are you doing a why or are you doing a what? So that is that. Okay, so these are very, very important. Again, start from collecting of data after you found out the objective, then clean it, then analyze it, then visualize it, then present it. Okay, this is where you now go to the boardroom and now stand up and be saying, according to my analysis, I discovered that this, that happened. Okay, so that is for data analysis. So these processes are important. So here, okay, we didn't collect any data, so we loaded our data in. There was no collection, and I didn't define any objective, so we don't have any objective as of now. You're just running blind, okay? But that is what the first class is all about. Second class, we have objective and figure out where we are going to, questions to answer, okay? So we now went to basically understudy and find out what our data analysis is all about, or our data precisely is all about. Then, after we found that out, we then perform some cleaning. After you are done cleaning, the main analysis now begins. In this part is now the part where you start answering questions. Then you apply methods like value count, unique methods, to figure out unique values, count each column, and data that they have, this kind of stuff. Okay?